to 2060, the 1.5 from 2000 to 3220, and the 2-inch 3000, and this is 2990, which is slightly below. The rates, we use the actual cost plus we added a 5% increase to cover any future increases in materials. If you look to resolution 1846, which is attached, you will find that the previous rates, the rates prior to 2010, they used to be almost 3 times as high. And I believe they were reduced to the current rates because of the economic slowdown back in 2009. So what I'm recommending is to increase the water installations fees as proposed.
You're outside the city limits for the new proposed rate for 2-inch, I don't think is correct. That should be $38.90, I believe.
You were right. If you double it, it'll be correct. You're right. Thank you. It'll be 90, 30H. Yeah, 38.90. So any question about the rates, how it was?
Will these rates go into effect immediately upon approval of the resolution?
No, it can be usually if the rates are passed, we usually make it effective the new year, so January 1st, 2022.
Well, I guess what I'm also asking is there going to be any notice to the developers of the increase in the fee? Will they be given?
Right now, the city is, besides utilities, the other departments are also looking at the rates, at their fees. So we're trying to present to city council all the fees that need to be increased for next year. But we usually put some kind of communication out about the fees going up.
Usually, or you will?
We usually do, so what I'm saying is a standard practice to put something on the web or alert the developers in this case.
And when you send out the notice, do they have a chance to come and discuss it or protest or?
Actually, the time the time to make a comment or protest is when this is presented to city council.
Okay, so they will have the opportunity.
There'll be a public comments.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This is typically passed on to the builder,
To the builder.
Right.
whoever they're working for.
Right, but they will have a chance to come and speak.
There's a public, once an item is presented to city council, there's time for the public to come to the podium and
Okay.
have questions or speak up their mind.
Okay.
How does this compare to our peer group?
I did that comparison. I don't have the numbers, but I think our numbers, I know they're less than Water 7. But I can double check.
Ours is less,
Correct.
the new rates would be less than, say.
That's what I did some comparison. I don't have the numbers and I don't remember how much it was. But I remember it was less than them. But I can compare the numbers if you want that additional information.
No, I, just as an aside, when I was in the rural area down by Pomona, it cost me $5,000 to have a residential meter. So
So the city will do will tap the water line. They'll run we'll use copper. Then set the pit, we'll put the center, and then we install the meter when the service connection, which is from the meter to the house, is in place. So that will cover any from the water main to the downstream of the setter or the meter. From there to the house, that's on the developer. It'll be the point of connection for the house. That's the setter. Where the meter is, meters installed in the setter.
Any other questions? I'd like to entertain a motion for this item.
I make a motion with the change in the numbers from 2,990 to 3,890 for the 2-inch outside the city limits.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion Commissioner Coleman, second Commissioner Williams. All approved. Next, in new business, we have to consider a recommendation to the City Council to purchase a hydro excavation trailer and valve exerciser for the new line maintenance division.
Yeah, the utilities line maintenance division is responsible for the maintenance of all the water distribution lines. The water distribution system has 2,369 valves, mainline valves, then another 1,161 hydrant valves. Plus we have water storage,
Fire hydrant?
fire hydrants. So these valves are routinely exercised by the line maintenance division. We personally have one device that is mounted on the water utility truck. So if we need to, they usually go and exercise the valves. But due to the quantity, we felt that we needed to have an additional valve exerciser so we can do more preventative maintenance. In addition, there is where's the where's the excuse me, I lost my in addition, we have the vac truck that was purchased 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember it. It's a big truck that we use for flushing the wastewater lines, and also we use it as a hydro excavator. They have a hose with pressure that you can hydro excavate. So sometimes we're in the middle of doing the cleaning of the wastewater lines, and then we get a call from, let's say, Public Works, and say, can you help us hydro excavating? So we have to stop everything, get all the stuff back in the truck, and then take the vac truck, which is pretty big, to the side so we can hydro excavate. So we've been doing this kind of assistance over the past 10, 15 years, but with the increase in development, we're doing it more often when we have to pothole and locate the utilities. So a way of getting around that is to buy a hydro excavating equipment, something small that we use mounted on a trailer that we can use for doing this type of work without moving the entire truck and crews to take care of the hydro excavation. So we did an RFP. We got some proposals, and based on the proposals from the different vendors, We selected key equipment because it met our requirements, and we felt the equipment is most adapted to our needs. So we're recommending approving an award to key equipment for $52,098 plus tax, insurance, and shipping for the hydro excavation trailer and the valve exerciser. Any questions?
I have a question. Why don't the Public Works Department buy it if they are the ones that need it so bad?
Because it's something the city has done. In the past, line maintenance used to be part of Public Works. When that was split in 2014, 2015, we took that task with the line maintenance crew. So that's a good question, but the hydro,
It's been 6 years.
by the hydro, I understand, but all the hydro excavating has always been done by the line maintenance.
Maybe it's time to turn that over to Public Works and let them do their own excavating. I mean, why should you pull a crew off of a job and disrupt your job to go do whatever?
Yeah, but I understand, but with the trailer, we will have, instead of using 3 people, maybe 1 guy doing the hydro excavating, because the equipment is a lot smaller and a lot more easy to handle than the big truck. No, I agree with your point.
Seems like, if that's a need, they should have their own equipment to take care of their stuff. I mean, if it's once or twice a year thing, that's different,
But then with the other thing, with the increase in developers, we have to do this hydro excavating, mainly potholing to identify where the utilities are located. So if we used to do it 3-4 times a year in the past, this is more frequent.
I don't understand the term pothole.
Potholing is basically, let's say you have a sewer line. So in order to verify the location, you go ahead, you can use a shovel and dig a hole until you get to the pipe. And then you can determine how deep it is and the location of the pipe. So with hydro excavating, use water pressure to make the hole instead of a shovel. So it's a lot quicker.
So,
And at the same time, you're putting pressure water and you're sucking it also. So there's no residues, no dirt. Everything goes to the tank. So
do you have to fill that hole in or?
then we have to fill in the hole. Yes, we have to fill out the hole.
Or
Yeah, we will have to fill the
do you
hole.
have to bring in dirt?
I don't know the nuts and bolts, but I know with the hydro excavator, you put water and then you suck. So you can get a nice clean hole that you can inspect the pipe or valve, whatever you're trying to verify.
The other question I had was the Ringomatic contractor. I'm assuming they were deficient for something in their proposal with the lowest bid.
I don't have, when we do a RFP, you don't go by the low cost. So you look by if the vendor has provided what you have requested for him. And if the equipment meets your criteria, because they can provide you something that it doesn't meet your criteria, and they can give you a lower price. So using an RFP, you go by, they're the same. If they're the same, you go by the low price. If they're not the same, then you go with the one that meets your need.
So yeah, so they were deficient in some aspect.
They're deficient, and I don't know, I don't have the actual reason,
That's fine.
but if it was a request for bid, it would be low price. RFP gave us a little more latitude to go with specification requirements and then the price.
Questions? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for the city council to approve a purchase of a hydro excavator trailer and valve exerciser for the line maintenance division.
Also move.
Motion, Commissioner Cole.
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Williams. Motion's approved.
But I really wish you would consider having them buy their own equipment in the next few years. I mean, I just think that that's where it ought to be if you're, we ought to cooperate with Public Works. This obviously is going to be a bigger problem as more development happens. And they should get their own equipment.
They'll be on the minutes.
Great.
So that concludes all of our new business items. We can move to our discussion items, first being project updates.
On the project updates, I have the video, but I like to do it at the end. So if we can do the other items, I'd like to keep the CIPP for the end.
Great, yep, we can move on to the other items.
So 2021 third quarter electric outage report. We have nine outages affecting 8,925 customers. One caused by equipment failure, two by trees, two by animals, one by damage by others, and three caused by other reasons. Average after hours response time was 35 minutes. The actual length of the outage, 1 hour and 21 minutes. And the overall average response was 35 minutes with an outage duration of 1 hour and 21 minutes, which,
So they're both the same, so they were all after hours maybe?
let me look at the table. No, they were all after hours, yeah. And the one that took the 8,088, basically took the entire city out, was the an Evergy feeder that fell at the quarry substation north of Gardner. They took the west line out of service for maintenance. So the city was being fed by one line from the north. Like Murphy law, the breaker fell in service, and that cut off the entire power to the city. It took them about 1 hour, 2 hours and 45 minutes to get it going. I think that was probably the most significant event on the third quarter. Any,
Ever, right?
I've been here 6, is the first time that the actual transmission line or the feed coming to the city is out completely. We lost at one time the west feed, but not both. And according to the old timers, they said probably been more than 40 years since it happened.
So have you corrected the problem? Will it not?
So what Evergy did, they went ahead and replaced the circuit breaker at the quarry substation. It used to be an oil circuit breaker. They're pretty old. and they put a new SF6 circuit breaker.
Oh, okay.
So it's a new technology, more reliable.
Which item was that? Was that the third?
That was the first one.
Oh, first.
Is that the first page? Yeah, the first page, the first item.
Well, I'm talking about this page, this one where you had 103 customers out.
That was a blown fuse.
Yeah, but he says he just put a larger fuse in. Do you typically just do that?
It depends on the load. I'm not sure what kind of fuse they have.
Well, doesn't it depend on the wire size also?
It depends on the wire and the transformer size.
I mean, I would think an engineer would have to look at that and see if you could put larger fuse.
I'm pretty sure they did their due diligence and they put the right fuse, maybe a bigger fuse.
Because typically would put the largest fuse in that the wire would carry.
If your load is gonna, if the ampacity of your conductor is gonna be used, I will say yes. But you can always put a smaller fuse. Maybe because they had a smaller transformer in the past, I'm not sure. But I can
It just,
get,
I mean, it just seemed like we would just naturally put a bigger fuse in. You would refuse it with the same size.
Would you put in a larger one because it was an increased load from the subdivision?
Yeah.
Well, and that may be fine, but an engineer would need to look at what the capacity of the wire. I mean, you don't want to burn the wire down. The wire becomes the fuse if the load is greater than the ampacity of the wire. It just seems like just putting a bigger fuse in.
yeah, but like I said, I'm pretty sure that Bruce looked at the conductor size and determined that putting a bigger fuse was adequate. Otherwise, I agree with your comment that you'll be using your line as a fuse.
Okay.
It's a good observation, and I can get more information from Bruce.
With only 100 customers, there's probably plenty of overhead.
Depends on whether it's the old part of town or the new part of town.
That's Canton, so that's the old part of town.
Because if it was number 2 solid copper, it would be a fuse. Could be a fuse. Well, anyway, it just looked like that was odd, that they would just put a larger fuse in without somebody looking at it.
I'm pretty sure somebody did.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions? That's the pie chart showing the distribution of the outages. It looks pretty even. There's nothing that sticks out. On the sewer repair report, we have 5 repairs affecting 9 customers. 1 was due to grease, 2 due to damage by others, 2 due to residents' issues. The average response time was 30 minutes and a repair time of 2 hours, 21 minutes. The after hours response time was 15 minutes with an average repair time of 4 hours. The overall was 27 minutes response time, and the outage or repair time was 2 hours and 41 minutes. Back up. Any questions?
That grease issue, where are we on these new grease ordinance?
We started the implementation late last year, we have 48 service food establishments. Out of the 40 or 38, we only received 2 applications back. With the way we approach them, if we'll call them on the phone to set up a face-to-face meeting, out of, like I said, 2 restaurants has replied to us, the other are not complying. So the next step is to enforce the code, and we're working with the city administrator and the police department to see what needs to be done to get people signed into the program.
But they all have been notified that this is coming, right?
They have been notified by letter.
And did that go out, what, in June of this year, or?
They started last year. I don't know the exact which establishments. There's a list, but a letter was sent to them. Then we contacted them by phone to set up an appointment, so we can explain the program and also go through the application form, which is there's a lot of information. So we will sit down with them and say, this is what you need to fill in. And in one of the 2 cases, the manager came to the admin building, and we sat down with him and fill out the application with him to help him comply with the code.
What about the new restaurants that are?
They are with the new restaurant. They all have a I want to say a grease trap, so they're part of their construction already includes the grease separator. So the new restaurant, there is no problems. We have a Freddy's, Quick Trip. What else?
Culver's at some point.
Culver's, but the new developers, they come with the grease interceptor. So we don't have any problem with the new ones.
So do they have deadline to get the application to the city?
We told him around 1 to 2 weeks. So I know some of
You
the,
send the letter out? Wow.
did we? In the letter, I don't remember. I really don't remember.
We sent the letter in June, I'm pretty sure, because TR had me pull it up the other day, and I think it was June, and I just can't remember how it was sent.
Wow.
But the letter is just to tell them that somebody's gonna be contact them.
Oh, okay.
So we do a follow-up on the phone to get an appointment.
That wasn't a very good response, was it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. So unless we get this under control, we're gonna have problem with the grease. So the next step is to enforce the code.
But they're all aware of the costs associated with
Yes, ma'am.
becoming compliant with it. Okay.
Any other questions? The pie chart looks 1 grease, 2 damaged by others, and 2 resident issues. Water repair report, we have four events, 24 events affecting 39 customers. 4 due to line failure, 1 due to valve failure, 5 to damage by others, 12 by resident issues, and 2 due to other issues. The average work day response time was 28 minutes with a repair time of 7 hours, 31 minutes. The average after hours response time was 6 hours and 27 minutes, and the average after hours repair time was 7 hours, 31 minutes. It looks like we didn't have any day. The overall was 2 hours, 58 minutes, and an average repair time of 4 hours, 21. That looks like,
Seems like that response time is long, 6 hours.
I think your response time is usually better than that, isn't it?
You will see the actual report. They are under 15.
Outlier at the bottom, 61 hours.
Yeah, that's the outlier. But the response time, uh, some numbers here they don't seem right. I think there is a typo there.
Well, yeah, it says 61 hours. That's not right.
But it was an after hours, but I don't think they'll take them 61 hours to respond. I'll,
Oh, I see, they called at 5:30, they went out at 7 a.m. There's a water quality issue.
Previous hour.
yeah, but it's not an emergency, so maybe they treat it like, hey, we'll get to you whenever it's a water quality. I need to look into that one too.
So you'll look into that one?
Yep.
If it helps, 23rd was a Friday, so they waited till
Monday.
first thing Monday morning. So that was 3 days.
It was a Friday at 5:30. They would have to be able to, maybe that's why.
Yeah, but it's a water quality odor, and that's not a. That's probably why it's not a leak. So it's only one house. So if it was more than one, then we'll have responded. This is just a one incident. Everything else looks right. Yep. Any questions? So that's 12. Can we put the oh, before we look at the CIPP repairs, I received feedback from Commissioner Wells on the Instella home for the smart meters. So you had access to it. I think it's a little basic. You said some data was missing.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was much better than the old rotary meters, data-wise. Some of the reports that, so I could look back at the 15-minute data for a while, and one of the items I was interested is tracking what my peak was, and it looked like the tracking of your peak, it was a little hard to understand. I couldn't tell if it was a monthly peak, or what it came out to be. So there might have been some issues in that reporting, but the voltage and energy use looked pretty good. There were some holes in the data, but mostly it was there. The graphs were helpful, so.
The peak is usually a monthly peak.
Yeah, it would have like the same value for, an extended amount of time, and then it would switch for 5 hours. It was some other number, and then it would switch back. So it just didn't seem consistent for, I was expecting, the same value for the whole month, even that monthly peak. So that was one thing I noticed. And just the user interface itself was a little clunky compared to ones I've seen from Evergy and other utilities.
I thought it was very, very easy. I did. I really thought it was easy. I didn't think it was funky.
easy, it just was very basic. You know,
It was,
so.
but I think that's key. I think it would benefit most people for it to be easy, you know, instead of complicated.
I have a bill on it, or try to meet, needs to be so that the average person, I mean, it needs to
Exactly.
be user-friendly for
Exactly.
a non-technical person.
I didn't think it was very user friendly, the interface, but
Really?
no, it seemed dated. It wasn't very, I don't know. It just didn't seem very. Seemed like with the big investment for the city, well, better I thought, but it's also just the alpha version, so I don't know if they're gonna change anything when the public gets access.
That interface is fairly new. So when I spoke with the NextGrid CEO, he said they're working in enhancing that interface
Yeah. So I think,
because I told him it was too basic. So I get more information from my electric bill, and he was not too pleased with that comment.
yeah.
So, when is it gonna be available to anyone?
I was trying to get feedback from you, and we're shooting for the end of November. We'll put a insert on the electric bills. We'll work with the communication manager, so we'll put something in the web. And it should be the end of November and beginning of December.
Available at the end of December?
At the end of November for cycle 3. Cycle 2 will be at the beginning of December. End of November.
The beginning of December.
End of November for cycle 3, and then the other cycle will be December, beginning of December.
Have you got your data board at some place where you can tell what outages that would be part of this?
Yeah, I don't know if we can do. Yeah, it's called Eco One. So you have several displays, but you can look at the electric assets, and it will show your transformers, your distribution transformers, and all your electric meters.
Whether they're energized or not.
Correct. And then there's another display that will give you which meters are not communicating.
So the person on call out, do they go down and get a truck? They don't have a truck at home, right?
They have to come here.
And so they'll be able to see that board and see what the extent of.
So we had an outage on the October 28th. That was almost a week ago. And Bruce, when he got the alert that there's an outage, he went to the Eco One. And he can determine what area we had the problem.
Can you see that on a phone, or does he have to go to?
There's two ways. There's an app on the phone, and the linemen have the app on the phone.
Oh,
But Bruce has access to the Eco One from his home computer. So he was able to look the location and direct the lineman to go over there.
so the
It
person
was
called out then can have that right on their phone.
Yep,
Super.
it's a very handy tool. They have a lot of good information.
If it works.
It works.
Good.
We're trying to, there's a lot of good information, but we're trying to have the ability to kind of, you have like so many information to narrow it down to the outages. How can I troubleshoot an outage with the information I have displayed? You probably have I will say 30 different displays. So over the past year, we've learned how to navigate and get directly where the problem is. It takes a lot of knowing the system and having a troubleshooting mind. mindset. But it works pretty good.
Great.
Have all the water meters been installed?
We're about 92% complete.
92?
For both water and electric?
Electric is 100%.
Oh, it is done.
That was done March 2021. The water meter is a little more time consuming. Sometimes you have an issue with the meter pit. Sometimes you cannot locate them. So sometimes they're underneath somebody's porch. So it's been a lot of effort by Next Grid to get them installed. Then you have the weather that you cannot actually do much. So it's taking a lot longer than originally planned. Any other questions?
How's the Hillsdale Water Treatment Plant working?
We did a test late August to make sure that the 4 million gallons a day can be achieved. And we were able to run the plant, I think I don't remember how many hours, but we were able to produce as designed. The operators are very happy with the new plant.
Great.
That's working pretty good. So I presented, I don't remember what month, but he came to the UAC as a recommendation to City Council. So we went ahead and we have completed the CIPP, or cured in place pipe. This is just a general background. The infiltration program was addressed in the 2017 HDR master plan. So in 2018, we went ahead and contracted Trek Design Group to do a study and analysis of the different basins and try to prioritize which basin was the most critical. So the basin that was selected is called Bull Creek 2 Basin, which is basically this part of downtown and along Warren Road. So once we identified the issue, we did a smoke test to identify any private connections, because you can have an I&I private and public. The smoke test told us that the problem is not on the private side, which usually 60% is, and it was more on the public side, our side. So in 2021, we contracted SAK Construction to reline or do a cure-in-place pipe. Most of the pipe in downtown are vitreous clay pipe, so it's like very brittle. And during the video inspection, we found they had cracks or they have holes in them. So the CIPP will basically line the interior of the pipe without doing any trench, and that's the typical way of replacing pipe. So the Big Bull Creek subbasin is shown on the map, and is north of Main Street, south along Warren Street, and basically west of Center Street. The stats for SAK Construction, we did 12,092 linear feet. We did 8-point repairs and 3 lamp holes. A lamp hole, which I didn't know, basically you put it's like a small manhole that you use for maintenance purposes. So you can do cleaning without opening a manhole. It's more of a maintenance. Started on August 17th this year and completed October 14th. Total cost was $353,567.50. Let's see if this works. So that's a video. This is SAK, the device. I don't know if you can stop this or not. That's the felt with impregnated resin. It's like a flexible tube, like the one I showed you earlier. So the material is in a truck that is at low temperatures, almost freezing, to preserve the resin. And then it's fed into this device, and that device will get it out of the truck and shoot it down the existing clay pipe. And you will see it. It's like a sausage casing.
So the steam is at the entrance point, not after it's placed.
You will see it closer in once they actually ran the material, the liner. So at this point, they will pull the liner out. And they'll puncture the liner. That's so the steam will have a place to escape. Then they put a pipe, like a vent. And that's where the steam will come out.
That's what I saw.
So that's a curing process with the steam. So now they're putting steam down the length of the liner. So now you have penetrations service for the sewer service. So that's covered with the liner. So what they do, they put a camera with a cutter, and whenever they see a dimple, which is actually a hole covered by the liner, they'll go ahead and cut a piece of the liner so we can reestablish the service to the home. So you can see a dimple, there's slight dimple, yeah. Then we'll just grind it away. So now you're re-establishing the service to that home. And there's a manhole. So next, we have 71,161 linear feet of clay pipe in place right now. So there is a potential to reline that clay pipe in the future. The next step on the Bull Creek 2 subbasin is to do a analysis pre-construction monitoring versus post-construction monitoring, which basically we have to put a flow monitors and compare the flow now versus the flow we had before the CIPP. We're currently, or we did a smoke testing of South 1, East 1, and 2 subbasins. East 1 and 2 is by Walmart. Those are the Conestoga trailers. And south is south of I-35. We have performed in-house pipe CCTV inspections of the East 2, South 1, and Trek, which is our consultant, they're going to be doing the Keel Creek 5 sub-basin CCTV inspection. Keel Creek 5 is the main line to going to Keel Creek wastewater treatment plant. There's a series of manholes, and it's a big pipe that is showing signs that there's a lot of water infiltration. And then we'll do a in-house manhole inspection for East 2 and South 1. This map shows the different subbasins. So on your right hand, you can see East 1 and 2. And you can see on the middle, that's the Big Bull 2 subbasin, which is the one we just did. And on the far left on top, you can see Keel Creek 5. So that's the line that goes to the treatment plant. Any questions?
So in the pipes that are deteriorating, is the problem that groundwater is entering the pipe or that wastewater is leaving the pipe through cracks?
The problem is that water is entering the clay pipe.
Okay. And it's too much to process at the
So how this project got started, we tracked the amount of effluent going to the plant. And then we correlate how much inches of water rainfall we're getting. And then you can estimate how much of the water that is going inside the system. And that's your inflow and infiltration. So the idea is to reduce your I&I so we don't be treating rainwater mainly. Because right now we're processing that water like if it was wastewater. If we can reduce the I&I, then we'll have additional capacity for treating actual wastewater. That's the aim of the project, or the goal. Any questions? That's all I have for you for tonight.
Well, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion? Oh, we have a public comment?
Oh, do I? No, I was in another meeting,
Oh, okay.
so I just came into this meeting.
Great.
I have a question. As in the July meeting, you had 66% of the customers submitted their backflow test reports. Has that increased?
We wrapped up our residential, and we were able to get everyone to.
Oh, that's wonderful news.
But as a additional comment, the backflow was implemented in 2011, and it takes a lot of staff effort to get this test completed. So they're supposed to have it done by July 1st,
Yeah.
and we'll probably get about, 40% of them.
Yeah.
So then we have to send additional letters, reminders, and,
Well, it's very impressive that you've got it all 100% done by now.
but it's kind of late.
Well, I know, but still.
Because ideally, you like to have all the tests prior to the summer months where people are using their irrigation system. So that's another issue we need to look at, probably doing some enforcement.
Or maybe start earlier, give them more
That's,
time,
that's the other alternative.
so that they can meet the deadline. I had another question. I had a resident contact me about the budget billing agreement. And they were on the budget billing agreement for many years. And then they bought a new air conditioner that was supposed to be energy efficient. So they thought, well, I'm gonna get off the budget system because this new energy efficient air conditioner was gonna save me money. But they found out that it didn't really. And so they called and wanted to get back on the billing program, and they were told that they couldn't for 12 more months, even though they had a great record prior for many years. And I think that that process should be amended to where someone who has a good record and wanted to get off the system themselves, it was their choice, would be able to get back on if they wanted to without having to wait 12 months.
And I believe I answered your email
Oh, I didn't get it, I'm sorry.
and requested the address of that customer,
Oh,
so,
did you really?
so we can follow
I'm
up.
so sorry.
Otherwise,
I
we
didn't
can,
get it.
because no names were given nor phones, so.
Well, I'd be happy to give it to you so that you can follow up on
Yep.
it. But I think it's something that, should be considered. If they're in good standing and everything was fine with their billing, they should be able to get back on the system without having to wait 12 months. But I will forward that information to you.
I don't know the details, but I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they did that. Because we don't want people to go in and out that program because they see an increase in the electric bill. So there was an explanation similar to that we say a 12-month period, so people don't go in and out as they please.
Well, if they're, what are the reasons why they're taken off the system?
That would be because they requested to be off the system.
That's the only reason? It's not like non-payment or anything like that?
That's what is my understanding. But I need to
The
look,
reason they don't reason they wait 12 months is because they don't want them to come in and out.
in and out of the program.
Okay. Okay, I'll forward the address.
But I think if I get the address, we can do a little more investigation.
Okay. Perfect.
Any other questions?
If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion Commissioner Williams, second Commissioner Coleman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, I didn't see that email that you sent out to me.
I got a response
from Amy
Foster.
Yeah.
She said, I need the address so I can do something.
Okay, yeah. I will send it to you.